Hey everybody, I just wanted to do a quick introduction to teaching at Jersey Village Church of Christ for you. This should be quick and easy so that you will know some of the emergency procedures and other things that will be helpful for our new teachers and reminder for some of our older teachers. What we're going to go over is youth protection, the emergency plan, and some specific operations that we expect here at Jersey Village. Youth protection. Youth protection is very important, and we're working on getting all of the teachers' background checks done. So you may be getting an email asking for your consent for a background check. That's the first part of this. And then after you reply that you give your consent, we're bringing you up on Simple Church. And there's a quick, easy form for you to fill out on Simple Church that will do a quick background check on you. Those background checks don't go to anybody else in the congregation. They are strictly just for the program director. So you don't have to worry about any of that getting out to other people. But we have all that information in Simple Church once that's done. So we know that everyone who is teaching our children should be teaching our children. Another couple of things that you need to remember is that we really strive to have 2 adults in all of the preschool age rooms. And we really want to have the adults in the elementary age rooms to leave their doors open, or because of noise, and that's a valid concern, make sure that you don't block your windows. If you ever notice, whoever's doing the check-in walks through the hallway, we look in the doors and the windows. That's really for the teacher's protection and the kids' protection. If we're walking the hallways periodically looking into the classrooms, we know that there's nothing going on in those classrooms that we need to be concerned of. And if there's ever a question, we can with confidence say that we've been checking those classrooms and that the teachers have been in basically kind of a public situation because we could see what was going on in there at all times. So remember that when you're doing your decorations on your doors, don't cover up those windows. They're actually there for your protection. If you're doing an activity with the kids outside of the classrooms, we need to have 2 adults at all of our functions. If you are a couple, a married couple, we just really need to have another person with you. The married couples count as 1 person. So for instance, we've had married couples volunteer to do Children's Bible Hour, which is absolutely fantastic. But you'll notice that we always have one of the teenagers in with them. In addition to that, remember, we also have the windows in both of those doors so that we can keep things as public as possible. But there's always a teenager in there. So our couples always count as 1 person. I really want you to take a minute and look through the youth protection policy. It's going to be in the teacher's notebooks, and those teacher's notebooks are going to be distributed very shortly. So if you don't have one in your classroom, you should be seeing them soon. Okay, so unfortunately, we need to talk about emergency procedures because it is definitely something that is important and in the news quite a bit now. You knowing what to do in the case of an emergency is the first thing about keeping our kids safe. So first thing you need to know is that our playground out back is our parents' meeting point. We need to get this information out to the parents, let them know that that's where we would be expecting them to come and get their children if there ever was an emergency. But you need to know that as well. Now, if the building is on fire or the back half of the building is unsafe for any reason, then we need to obviously move that further away. We initially picked the playground because it's fenced in, so it's a little easier for you to keep your kids together. But if that's not a safe environment, we'll move back to where the fire pit is, or even further back if we need to. We need you to take the time to go over all of these emergency procedures, and no matter which room you're working in know what needs to be done if there was an emergency. For fire and smoke emergencies, obviously the first thing you're going to do is call 911. Our address is 8810 Jones Road. If you're like me and you have a hard time remembering things like that, maybe you'll remember it because I've said it, 8810 Jones Road, or that you've read it on the slide. If you hear a fire alarm, you need to go ahead and get your kids together in an orderly fashion, and you need to get out of the building. You need to use the maps that are in all of the classrooms to tell you which is your emergency exit. But remember, if you're going to be going through any doors to get out, feel those doors for heat before opening. If it is not safe to go out the emergency exit that's on your map, go out an alternative exit. And then again, go to the designated area, which is the playground, unless the playground is unsafe. You'll see here, there's a picture of the emergency exits that are in all of the classrooms. This is just an example of one. Each classroom has one in it. So make sure that you're familiar with the exits that are in the classroom that you're teaching in. Most of the time, you're either going to be exiting out of the doors that are in the children's wing, that there's a picture of there, or you're going to be coming out of the children's wing and immediately turning to the right and using the exit that is before you go down the hallway where the young professionals and the young married live. So those are the two emergency doors that are almost always used by the children's wing for exiting. The foyer is probably an alternative one if you can't get out of either of these two, but hopefully one of these two will be available to you. But always think through and make the wisest decisions for your kids. So what do? You, first of all, do not panic. Kids will definitely take their cue from how you react to an emergency. Follow those evacuation signs unless it's unsafe, then go to the next available exit. Grab your clipboards. Remember, all those clipboards are supposed to be hanging next to the door for a reason. Your attendance needs to be up to date. I know it's difficult with some of the children coming in later, but try to keep those attendance charts up to date and have them right by the door. You need to grab the clipboards and have your children lined up, and you need to go ahead and follow the evacuation process. And then you need to remain in control of your class until the parents come to the assembly area. That means that you are responsible for keeping a head count and watching on your attendance charts all of the children that are in your care until they get picked up by their parents. Remember, we need to remain calm. If emergency personnel get to the building, follow their instructions. As you're leaving, close the doors to your classrooms. Don't ever return into the building for your purse or for your jackets or anything of that nature. And something that we might not remember, but definitely, if you have an opportunity, if you see a disabled person or a person who's having trouble evacuating the building, take time to help them get out as well. Tornadoes. I know tornadoes are not a constant threat in Houston, but they are occasionally warnings and watches. So if we do have a situation that we need to shelter for a tornado, the inside classrooms in the children's wing are the safest classrooms for us. So if you're in any of the outside classrooms, that's the classrooms that have windows in them, you will evacuate your classroom and you will go into one of the inside classrooms. That's the second and third grade classroom, the cradle roll classroom, and the classroom next to cradle roll. None of them have outside windows, and they would be the safest locations during a tornado. The other picture that you'll see there is the hallway. There's the hallways with the restrooms. If you are not in the children's wing and you need to shelter, I have been informed that those, see the little slanted pieces of the walls there in those hallways, those are additional support. So those bathroom areas right there where that additional support in the hallways would be an excellent place to shelter if there was a situation with a warning about tornadoes and you're not in the children's wing. So keep that in mind if you ever need to shelter in place because of a tornado. Active shooter plan for our children's wing. Call 911. If you're near one of the panic buttons, there's one in the foyer, press that button. Um, it's very important that you stay calm. Again, the children will take their cue from you. So you want to make sure that you are not the one that is panicking, and if at all possible, stay calm, take a deep breath, and try and be the best example you can be to the children. Do not sound the fire alarm. I know that that seems like the smart way to get some sort of authority into the building as quickly as possible, but what you will do is you will signal to people to start evacuating their classrooms, and you could put them in a compromising position. So do not sound the fire alarm. Yes, you can hit the panic button. That's a quiet button that will call the police, but do not sound the fire alarms and let um, set up a situation where our children will be all evacuating out of their classrooms. I need you to shut all your doors and lock them. I need you to shut the blinds, turn off all your lights, your audio equipment, keep those children as quiet as possible, get them away from the doors, get them away from the windows, and silence your cell phones. We don't want a situation where we look like we're an empty wing and then somebody's cell phone goes off because somebody heard that there's something going on at the church building. So we can't plan for all events, um, but we are going to use as much common sense and be as safe as we can. If it makes sense to try and evacuate the children out of one of those doors and to take cover outside of the building, then we will try to do that. But the first thing is to get the kids away from the windows and doors, keep them as quiet as possible, get those lights turned off, get away from any place that they can see them. We want anybody who's unfamiliar with our building to not realize that we have a children's wing. We want to keep them from coming and looking for our children. So your lack of panic will help the children keep still and quiet. Medical emergencies are another situation that you may become involved in. If it's a true emergency, call 911. Again, our address here is 8810 Jones Road. Emergency medical kits are located in the kitchen, in security check-in, in the library has even more advanced supplies if you need something more than what's in the simple medical kits. All treatments need to be recorded on an incident report form in the teacher's manuals, and then make sure that the parents get a copy and make sure that your director or the deacon get a copy. Even if your child in your class is just getting a Band-Aid, gets a paper cut and you need to make sure that the incident report is done and that everyone is aware. We just want to make sure parents know what's going on at all times, and the best way to do that is to just follow that procedure with the emergency incident reports. Okay, so some of the things that you need to know while working here at Jersey Village. When you first become a teacher here, your application is done, or you get your email for your background check. That stuff is done and you get scheduled to work. We usually ask that most of our teachers work 2 quarters a year. So we work in a quarterly rotation. That's 3 months. Most teachers work 3 months on, 3 months off, 3 months on, 3 months off. So you get a total of 6 months in that time, but you get a break in between so that you can enjoy some adult classes as well. Your classroom is yours. You know what the theme's going to be. So we just say decorate it, have fun with your classrooms. They should be an inviting place for the children. They should have their names up on the doors or on the walls, and the kids should be just feeling so welcome when they come into the classes. Now you share your classroom with your Sunday teacher and your Wednesday teacher. So it's common courtesy to work with the other teacher, make sure that you're putting up decorations that they would enjoy having in the classroom. It would be perfectly wonderful if you decided to meet up there for an hour or so and do the decorating together. The other thing is we really want to keep these rooms clean. We want to make sure that they don't become too cluttered. Things that are not being used in that classroom anymore should be moved out of the classroom. If it belongs in the teacher's workroom, put it away in the teacher's workroom. If it's something that was bought for a previous lesson and it's not going to be used again, then take it home or give it to another teacher. But we need to declutter the classrooms. We need to make them warm and inviting and clutter-free so that the kids have a wonderful space to learn. You are also the best and most important part of our security system. So not only do you get to have so much fun with the kids in class, but you get to know their guardians and parents as well. Make sure that your children are being picked out by people with the guardian slips. The little stickers on their back should match the stickers that the guardians have. You are our safety precaution. It is the security desk that gives out the stickers, but it's the teachers who check them for pickup. This gives you an opportunity to get to know the parents, to let the parents know how things went in class, to let the parents know what you're learning in class. You have an opportunity to make friends with the parents and to even have a mentoring type relationship with the parents because you've started a dialogue with them. So don't let your parents just come and get their kids without you talking to them, with you engaging them and making sure that the proper people are picking up their children. Teachers, I need you to be in your classrooms 5 to 10 minutes before class. That's really important because when our visitors come, they come on time or they come early because they're not quite sure where they're going. So they don't tend to come late. Our teachers need to be in their rooms before class starts so that when the kids come in, there's somebody to greet them. Too often we have our members' children walking into empty classrooms without teachers. And I know that the traffic gets bad and things happen on occasion, but our goal really should be to be in those classrooms 5 to 10 minutes early, having your classroom all set up and ready for the children so that you can greet them as they come in. Remember, our goal as teachers is to make this the best hour and a half, 2 hours of their week. I mean that it's Sunday and Wednesday combined. You want them to not feel like it's a chore to come to Bible class, but it's an enjoyment, and that they always associate the good times that they have in Bible class with the church. And so that's our goal. So we really want to be there. We want to be warm. We want to be welcoming. We want to love them the way that Jesus loves them. As they come into the classroom, just make sure they know that they're important and that you're happy to see them. This brings me to my next point, which is to be prepared. Be prayed up and ready before you get there. Be prayed up and be ready before your kids come in, and greet them with a smile and a kind word. What you are teaching these children from your attitude and your love is going to mean more to them in the long run than the Bible story that you teach them. You loving them the way that Jesus loves them is going to make an impact in their lives. And then the Bible stories just reinforce it. So make sure you're ready for them. Put on that smile, get ready for them, pray over them, and have a great time with them in those classes. Look at your lessons a week in advance. If you need supplies, contact the program director or whoever, if there's somebody who's managing the teacher's resource room or the deacon over in the children's wing. Make sure that they know that you need supplies and we can get them together for you. Preferably, you would contact the program director and we'll get the supplies ready for you. If you want to purchase your own supplies, just make sure that you talk to us first and get permission, because if we have the supplies in the teacher's resource room, we're not going to want to buy extra supplies that we could have saved money from. The teacher's workroom has got plenty of supplies for some things, but we may run low on some things, so definitely contact us and let us know what you're trying to do. That teacher's resource room or workroom is for your convenience, but we really need you to clean up after yourselves. Don't leave the supplies out, especially don't leave the scissors and things laying out, because some of the younger children do wander in there, and it's not safe when you leave things just laying around. Plus, it's very hard for the next teacher who comes in and uses the room to get anything accomplished when they're having to clean up behind the last person before they can even get started. Make sure you let someone know if the supplies are running low or if we're out of something, so we can keep the things that you're using in supply so that you won't have to go running around at the last minute to find what you need. The next thing that we need to talk about is the substitutes. If you need a sub, teachers are responsible for getting their own subs. That has always been part of the way that Jersey Village has worked with their teachers and their subs. We've gotten rather laxed at that and allowed phone calls to be made to the program director or to the deacon or whoever is doing the scheduling at the time. But really, teachers are the first responsibility for getting their own subs. Now, we do understand that occasionally there's going to be an emergency situation and that you're going to need a substitute at the last minute. If you wake up sick on a Sunday morning and you're not going to have time to get a sub, if there's somebody that you normally use as a sub and they're not available, please let us know. We can try and help and backfill, but teachers are supposed to try and get their own subs in normal situations. Currently, the deacon and his wife are doing the scheduling for teachers. So if you've gotten a sub, let them know who is subbing and when they're subbing. That makes it so much easier for us, especially if we have a last minute sub that needs to be worked out. If we already know that there's a sub supposed to be in a classroom, occasionally our substitutes forget and don't show up. So it helps us to know who we're expecting and when they're supposed to be subbing. So just keep those lines of communication open. Lastly, all communications for supplies, printing, emergency substitutes, anything that you need to communicate back to us needs to be done in writing. You can email, you can text, but please do it in writing because otherwise it may just be forgotten. So many people talk to us on an average Sunday or Wednesday night that it's hard for the deacon and the program director to keep everything in their memory of all the things that they've been asked to do. So we are asking that all requests be made in writing, and that will help keep us accountable to you for getting things done for you, to make things a little easier for you. But it's definitely needed. In addition, if you need supplies and things like that, please do not wait to the last minute. We need to be able to have time to go find the supplies that you need and purchase them. So that's a great reason that you should be looking at your lessons a week in advance and letting us have time to help you get the supplies that you need for your lessons. You guys do a fantastic job with these children. We do a fantastic job with giving them fun activities to do, but we want to support you in that. And for us to be able to support you, we need to have time. So we're going to end it here. It's a huge thank you to you for all that you do. I mean, these children will remember you their whole lives and the huge impact that you have on their lives. We're so appreciative for everything that you do. I hope that this was a good start for you to feel comfortable in the classrooms. And if you have questions, please direct them to me, direct them to the program director or to the deacon. because we want to be able to get you the training that you need. But this is just an introduction. This is just an overview, and mainly just to get you the security procedures and the emergency procedures, so that if there is something going on in the classrooms, that you feel confident that you know exactly what needs to be done. We appreciate you so much. We can't begin to thank you enough for all that you do, and we really hope that this was helpful for you. Thank you.